Vishen, a multi-platinum recording artist from Detroit. So you were 18, Kanye West somehow signs you up to his record label. How are you really feeling on the inside?
Well, that's a layered answer. We came from a very dangerous place. As much money as we didn't have sometimes, my mom never complained about like having to pay for my music.
She wanted you to fly.
Yeah, that taught me how to like care for your kids' dreams, you know, like they're yours.
No wonder you're a good father. So you were always a manifester.
Sometimes our manifestation aligns what we want and what we need are the same thing. But there are a lot of times where anxiety of like, oh, what if it never happens, led to depression.
You could have found fun in alcohol and drugs and beautiful women.
I'm not saying I didn't though. I'm not saying I didn't. I have these guardian angels that come in the forms of like people with great advice and stuff like that when I need it most.
Let's have Marie together. Marie, please help yourself, please.
We kind of recreated his office space. The location where you work will affect you.
Doing like all that Feng Shui and a game changer.
Tell us about how you helped Steven Spielberg set intention to win his 4th Oscar.
Can you imagine how many lives you just changed by saying that?
At the very moment,
Are you happy?
That's a good perspective.
This moment onwards, it only gets better. First of all, can we have a moment of grounding?
Of course.
To feel very present. For me, let me tell you, if I want to be super, super present, I'm taking it all in that I'm greeting you on the other side of the tunnel of fire. The tunnel of fire is what leads you to your awakening. And to me, a lot of us are either don't have the courage to go through the tunnel, or when we go through it, we get like our egos get so enamored by the beauty of the tunnel that we get burned down and we never get to come out. But you managed to come out.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I have, I guess.
I don't know what percentage of humanity is blessed enough to experience that level, but from some of your lyrics and books and your recent interviews,
I
feel like
that. It's very sweet. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a journey and still on it, you know. It's never really done, I don't think. As long as you're here, I feel like it just keeps going and keeps progressing and keeps unfolding, and that's really the point of it all. You know, I don't think it's to get to a certain point, you know.
At the very moment, are you happy?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm a lot of things though at once, so you know, I get overwhelmed. Of course, yeah, I am happy. You know, I realize how like blessed, how fortunate we are to be where we are in the world. And I feel like I live a life that has like been such a honor, you know what I'm saying? The things that I've seen, I'm definitely blind behind the miracles that I've seen. So like my faith is stronger than ever. My intentions are there, and you know, I've been applying everything that I've learned, and of course I go through like all these different new experiences, and there's a lot of heaviness I go through, and there are a lot of times where things are difficult, you know, but I think that's all part of it. And you know, especially if we're just souls going through a human experience, it's like this may be our only time to, like, I always say this, like, it may be our only time to feel that friction and to feel those emotions and ups and downs. So it's kind of like, I'm never mad at any of it, you know? I just know how to deal with the heaviness of life and the pressures of it all a little bit better than I used to. You know, I kind of feel like the work that I've done on myself spiritually and just that connection-wise has been like an armor that I put on to face the world. And of course you go through a lot, but you know, it doesn't destroy me or like, you know, mess me up like it would, I would say before.
So when you say that spirituality feels like an armor that is really protecting your inner child against the fact that in the
inner
world
child, I didn't say inner child, but that's I can see that.
So basically sometimes our inner child goes through so much trauma in the world of form or on the humanly experience that we kind of have to go to spirituality to create an armor.
Right.
Then that's the highest self.
Mm-hmm.
That's the highest self who's coming to now parent the inner child. And describing your experience, I feel like that's what you really are doing. You're really embracing your own inner child, and you're like, I got you. Like, now let's figure out how we want to go through this together. I feel like you merged with your higher self.
That is true. You know, I feel like your child self, right, when it's kind of like your purest form and like the newest. It's like you just, like, babies have such a glow, and like, you know, they're like so pure. They have a purity and not just an innocence, but it's like it's magic, you know what I mean? Because it's like the freshest manifestation of the universe. It's like, you know, it's like the newest creation, you know what I mean?
That's why in your lyrics for your latest song, On Up, where the lyrics is all about seeing the world through the perspective of your son, you said that you see I see my inner child.
You see
your inner child in him.
It's still the remnants, meaning that, you know, it's still there. And I think having a child, that's where you really recognize that, you know, because you feel the connection. So it's like, as I said, I see that my inner child in him is still the remnants. Will he lose it to the world? Is it imminent? Or is it something that me and his mama had instilled in him? And the confidence you lose, you could build again. You know, it's just, those are like lessons that I learned the hard way. Not the hard way, but in first hand, you know what I mean? And I wonder, like, will he go through that in his own way? Or is it something that he's gonna take in a different direction? And meaning, like, you know, our kids are kind of like the best versions of ourselves. So he's like the best of me and the best of his mom, in a sense, to me. So maybe he maybe evolved on a whole different level and may not go through the same things that I went through. You know?
Can I tell you how I understood that lyrics?
Yeah.
I understood that as you are witnessing that your son is awakened already, has come to the world awakened and in bliss and in heaven, right? And you're saying that you hope that as he ages, goes through life, he doesn't go back to sleep.
Wow.
And because of the trauma, and then would have to go through the tunnel of fire that you had to go through to then come back on the other side of awakening. That was my understanding.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Yeah, I like that.
It was, I really enjoyed it. So I want to go back to a moment where, in my eyes, must have been the I made it moment in your life. So you're 18, you're not gonna go to college. Kanye West somehow signs you up to his record label, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you really feeling on the inside?
Oh, well, that's a layered answer. You know, I was feeling very...
Let's peel the onion.
Yeah, it was a golden opportunity, right? So it was something that I'm going back to that time. It was something that was definitely a dream come true. You know, it's something that it could be nerve-wracking. It's something you don't want to mess up. You know, it's all these type of
but happy.
Ideas.
Happy or anxious?
All of that. You know, that's the thing about being a human. It can be more than one thing. Things can have multi-layers. Like, it was definitely happiness there, but it was definitely anxiety there because it hadn't happened yet. It was said to happen. You know, even like signing a record deal or signing a contract, it's like, you know, even like recently I signed a book deal, right? I have a book coming out, but the book hasn't come out yet. I don't really have I'm anxious about it, but I'm not like, I'm still happy about it.
I get it.
You know what I mean? So it's a similar thing like when, you know, I got the news that I could, you know, just have a record deal to my favorite artist. At the time, it was like for sure a big dream come true, for sure happiness. But I learned, it was a learning process as well because it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. You know what I'm saying? Things took years to unfold and I thought things were going to be like way more instantaneous. But there were so many lessons to be learned. You know, it taught me to be proactive. It taught me that things don't always go how you want them to, but sometimes things don't go how you want them to because, you know, well, first of all, I feel like God doesn't always give you what you want. God gives you what you need. But on top of that, sometimes the things that we think we want you never know when you go down that road what may happen,
exactly.
you know, and when you got that faith of like knowing that the best is for you, you know, the best is for you, and you accept that, you know, I kind of feel like I didn't always keep that perspective then, but now I realize that, so I kind of never really get depressed about things or too down on myself. Like even when things don't go how they want them to go, I feel it, but then I get over it, you know.
But I kind of want to take you a little farther back.
Okay, yeah, my bad. 18 years old.
I want, now you are, what you're doing right now, you are looking from here at that 18-year-old.
Yeah.
You're understanding that 18-year-old and you're telling that 18-year-old self that it's not as hard as you think it is. You got this. Like you're parenting your 18-year-old self. Wow, I'm loving you fathering your inner child so much.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? Your lyrics in your song, One Man Can Save the World.
Change the world,
Change the world. You said that if you want to never be alone, love yourself.
That's right.
Isn't that exactly what you're doing to yourself right now?
Yeah, that's
I feel like in everything you're saying, your highest self is giving love to that inner child and holding the inner child. Well, no wonder you're a good father.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're doing the same thing with your son at the moment. So basically, you are doing to your son at the same time as what you're doing to your own inner child.
I never
Loving
analyzed
this.
it. That's a good analyzation. But yeah, I think that I was excited about that record deal, but it was a lot that came with it, you know? So it was a lot of, like I said, learning processes, learning to be proactive, learning to attract. And, you know, that was really my first lesson in manifesting was around that time, you know? It was like, that was when I really got into like, reading, and my mom was like, oh, you got to read The Secret, you know, you got to watch The Secret.
Were you making your mom a little crazy? Do you think that maybe that's why she started reading?
No, I think she saw an ounce of, she saw a spark of something, you know. When I rapped for her when I was 11 years old, this is my first rap I wrote, and the first person I rapped for was my mom. I think she saw something there, you know, and she like encouraged me, and that's such an important moment. It's like such a pivotal moment too, because you know, it's also like she could have been like, you shouldn't get into that. You know, it's like.
No, she saw a spark and she wanted you to fly.
Yeah.
She saw some tiny wings and she's like, I'm going to help him grow them. I'm not going to cut them.
Yeah, but we came from a very dangerous place. So it's like a lot of people would die off of like, get killed from like rapping, you know, and it was like Biggie and Tupac had just died, and it was like a lot of violence associated with rap too. So the fact that she still was like, oh no, could see through that, because as a mom, she was a very protective mom, you know? So when I would go outside and play, she would be like, oh, don't go further than when I yell outside, Sean, you could hear me. She's like, only go down a few houses, don't go on the next block, you know, because people would be, you know, getting shot and all sorts of like wild things. So that's why I really say like, I just appreciated that like willingness from her and that like acceptance and that motivation. You know, she never complained. As much money as we didn't have sometimes, as much as she would be in debt, like she never complained about like having to pay for things for my music. Like she treated it like it was hers. So I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate that taught me how to like care for your kids' dreams, you know, like they're yours, you know? So yeah, I appreciate that.
God, your son is one lucky soul. Yeah. The children choose their parents when they're in the soul form. Yes. Yeah. So whoever this soul is, that your son, he has chosen you and Janae, your partner, and both of you are very, in my opinion, respected in the spiritual community. And a child who has chosen you two as her parents are probably
yeah, no, I agree.
Very, very,
I agree. I think all babies choose their parents.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. So you, to be honest with you, when a lot of teenagers are 18 years old and now they have fame and they have the name, they might start to indulge in destructive behaviors, right? Especially like the anxiety and the stress that comes with the job and the nerves, and you still don't know, you know, where on one hand it's like the dream you always wanted, on the other hand you're just fearful of losing it. Yeah. You're like, what if I lose it? How you could have found like fun in alcohol and drugs and beautiful women and go
I'm not saying I didn't though. I'm not saying I didn't ever in my life, but yeah.
Got it. But you shifted. Whether you did it or not, right now you are really following the path of your soul.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that anything's wrong with the other part, but I'm saying
there's something wrong with the other part. Yeah, it is.
Well, tell me on that. Okay, as a man, I want to know. Tell me about.
Well, I mean, like, drugs and like alcohol and all them type of things. It is like, it's just, it kind of like dulls who you are naturally, you know. It's not a judgment type of thing though, for sure. It's not like I did, you know. I don't like. It's not to say that I don't drink like I used to at all. I haven't been drinking, but like if I felt like drinking, I would, you know what I mean? Just for special occasions or whatever, you know, the case may be. But it is when you're like numbing something, when it's like, when you're doing it to get by. Like any industry of entertainment is so easy to like get indulged in that stuff because it's so frequent. It's like in every dressing room, every club, every where you turn your head, it's like a bottle of whatever you want, you know, or like weed wherever you want, you know what I'm saying? Or other drugs too, like other like pills and, you know, shrooms and all sorts of stuff that isn't necessarily good or bad, but I think that when it's a addiction, you know, when it's a daily part of your life, I think that's when it's kind of like wrong to me. But some people function on it, you know, better than I could, for sure. And like when it comes to all that type of stuff, it's just like to each his own too. Like I really have no judgment for like, I don't know what people been through. I don't know what people do have to numb and, you know, and cope with things in their own way. So it's like, when I say those type of things, I'm just speaking from my perspective, you know, and I can't sit up here and say I didn't, you know, it's not like I never had a drink or never. I do know some people who have never had a drink and have never like indulged in any, like never smoked weed. And a lot of them have experienced parents who were like abusers of it. You know what I'm saying? Like were alcoholics or drug addicts or, you know, and to me, I think it's real powerful when people can learn from other people and not have to go through it themselves, you know? So like I said, to each his own for sure, but that is something that I feel like a lot of people nowadays, we tend to judge and tell people what's right or wrong. So I just want to clarify that, like it was just wrong for me because it would make me lose touch of like a side that I needed to be like more connected with. And that's like my spiritual side. Like I really need that to get by in this world. You know what I mean?
I get it. Sean, congratulations on releasing your latest book, Go Higher.
Thank you. Well, I didn't release it yet, but I finished it though. So,
I got a preview.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
For me,
Thank
it was,
you.
I really enjoyed the concept and understanding what it was about, which is all about promoting doing daily self-care instead of waiting until we're hit a crisis before we start doing some self-care, and how much higher we can go if we were to do so.
Yeah.
Is this a movement that you are creating?
Of course, it definitely is. It's because it is definitely a lifestyle. And a lifestyle shift for a lot of people. Like you said, we do wait till we get in like crisis mode to like work on ourselves, which is fine. But I realized that being in crisis mode the few times that I have been in my life is when I get back to like being okay, or like I'm not in that mode anymore. I kind of like revert back, and I realized that pattern isn't productive for you to really enjoy life to the fullest. You know, to what I mean by that is really experience your dreams unfold or your goals. Everyone doesn't have dreams. So sometimes I don't like to say like everyone, you know, follow your dreams. It's really, some people are more goal oriented, you know, whatever it is, whether you are a dream, goal oriented, or you just want to live a more desirable life. I feel like this book kind of like fulfills all of those things. So that's why I do feel like it's a movement, and it's a lot of things that I've cultivated through just years of experience. Some of my favorite books that I've borrowed concepts from or like teachings from and show how it's worked for me. And, you know, it's a very collective piece of information that isn't just made up by me. You know, it's from a lot of masters, a lot of people that I truly respect. And yeah, it's just, you know, when I did that Jay Shetty podcast, he was the one who really got me into like, yo, he was like, you need to write a book because there are a lot of people who didn't have the family you had, didn't have the mom and the this and that, who need to figure out how to get from point A to point B to point C and manifest and, you know, give them a foundation of consciousness. So this book is all that. And it's just like fun stories. It's like I give examples of a lot of times in my life, you know, where I was going through something and how I got through it. So yeah, I'm excited about the book. It's my first one. And I think you really get a sense of me too. Like when you're reading it, you'll really feel like, okay, like I was on the laptop really, really doing this, you know? So I'm excited to see it here. And yeah, it's go higher. And it's something that like when I do talk to like people that I've admired, even like when I was talking to Kobe, he was telling me how he meditates every day. You know what I'm saying? How a lot of people that I look up to and respect like tremendously, they do similar practices, you know, if not the same practices that I talk about. So, you know, it goes over like meditation, how to journal. A lot of, one of the biggest misconceptions is like when I'm in studios with some of my friends, it's like, yeah, I just can't shut my mind off to meditate. Like, I just can't like, and I'm like, well, you got the wrong idea. Like you literally got to be brain dead to have a blank slated mind. You know what I mean? The point is to, whether it's a guided meditation or, you know, a meditation where you're listening to something, there's so many different kinds to bring your vibration. First of all, take the time out for yourself, focus on your breathing and bring yourself to a higher vibration. Like, and sometimes your mind wanders and you bring it back, but it's something that you keep doing and you get better at, like anything else. So, yeah. You
just said something that it's just, again, as a woman, I can't help myself but wanting to ask this question. The hustle culture of America and globally have encouraged this culture where when you tell and when you suggest for a man to meditate, if he is successful, I think he thinks one of the signs of saying that he's successful is to say he doesn't have the time or brain space to meditate. And that unfortunately is something that the culture is encouraging. So like a sign of being a macho, successful businessman who is, you know, who is powerful, if we are equating power with money, is to say that he doesn't have time. How do you, saying what you just said, which is that when somebody tells you, oh, they cannot quieten the mind to meditate. What is your advice for men that are thinking that they're so busy and so successful that they don't have the brain space to meditate? It
actually creates more time. You know, when you get into these, whatever you want to call them, practices, rituals, you know, daily things, it really gives you more time. It's, you know, it's because it gives you clarity, obviously, you know, so the clarity will multiply the output that you are doing, that you think you're accomplishing without doing it. I really, truly, I mean, I know that for a fact that like, yeah, like these practices, these things, they multiply your amount that you do. So, you know, if someone is like, if you're already living your like best life, I think applying some of these concepts will even heighten it more and free up more time.
And how do you think a busy man can shift his mindset from being busy to being blissful in a state of meditation?
I think that it's all about balance, and I think that that's one of the things that it talks about is, you know, I didn't want to give like anyone who reads the book, I don't like giving people like homework. I'm not trying to go back to school myself, you know, so it's very like easy. And I think that for people who, you know, do have a hectic schedule, like a lot of us, we have a lot of obligations. We have works, jobs, we have families, we have, you know, just the everyday pressures of being a human being and living in this world, you know what I mean? So sometimes we think we don't have time, but I do think that like when you commit to doing things of that nature, when feeding yourself and pouring back into yourself, you show up as just like the best version to any situation, and you're way more productive, way more clear, way more focused. And, you know, it's like sharpening the blade to me.
Why should a successful businessman prioritize meditating over making money?
Well, it's not necessarily prioritize it over making money. It's just that you prioritize it to make more money. You know what I mean? It's not even, you don't have to choose. We're multifaceted, you know, we don't have to just do one thing, you know, and this is something that you're not supposed to like be doing this all day long. You know, you're supposed to just get a routine going. Sometimes it's 15 minutes. And it makes making money even more pleasurable.
Correct,
you know?
Because the energy flows. You have a whole chapter in the book on manifestation,
right?
And you always talk about manifesting wealth, and obviously you're living proof of that. How do you manifest? What is the process like?
You just set an intention and put your attention on the intention, and you kind of don't really worry about the how-to so much. It's just kind of like more so if you're aligned with it. And, you know, sometimes they manifest in a different way than you imagine. You know, sometimes it comes in a form that doesn't exist or that you thought wasn't for you, and maybe it is, but it always comes around, you know. That's why I think that like sometimes our manifestation aligns with what we want and what we need are the same thing. And sometimes it isn't. So I think that's important to recognize when.
What do you think the universe is saying when the manifestation of what we want and what we need are not aligned?
Well, every situation is different, but what I think it's saying is that this is what you need. This is actually what you need.
So that's the ultimate trust in the universe. I love it. Yeah. You have that trust in the universe.
Yeah. I think that like when people have like that, sometimes people are like, you know, for example, we talked about how babies choose their parents, right? There are some people in this world who hate their parents. Nah, that can't be right. Like, I wouldn't choose it. But it's like, you know, you may have chose it not for pleasure. You may have chose it for evolution, to expand who you are. Maybe that might be the experience you needed to learn from. You know, so you just like every situation is different to me. So that's why when you go back to the concept of like things not always happening the way you want them to, it may not be really what you want, and it may also be not what you need, you know. How
did your journey of working on your mental health, which later on led to spirituality, get started?
It got started in church, honestly. You know, going to church every Sunday was something that as a kid I didn't appreciate so much then. Now, like I do now, it just taught me that it gave me a certain structure, and it really opened my mind up to how regular it is to have a connection with God. So I really got to give it up to like my grandparents who really enforced that, and like my mom, my dad, everyone, like they enforced that like every Sunday we got to go to church and have Sunday dinner with our family, which was very holy. You know, it was very like, more so you recognize it when you look back on it, but that's when it started, you know, that as a little kid. And even though I didn't appreciate it in the moment, like I said, I appreciate it more so later on, you know, so that's when it started. And then it always progresses.
Right.
You know, it progressed like again when I was more so in high school chasing a dream of mine, you know, on the pursuit of happiness, you know, where it was like.
You started early. You started your journey pretty like.
Well, yeah, at 11 years old, when I started rapping, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Like I just knew that like somehow I didn't know how, but I just knew it was gonna happen. Like I could see it, and it just felt like super.
So you were always a manifester.
I guess so, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so I would be like riding to school with my best friend, like, yeah, when I do this, like, man, but when I drop my first album, you know, I was like always talking about it like way back. And I didn't think it was like weird or anything. I just saw it, you know what I mean? And I remember even the power of the mind when I was in a group with one of my best friends. And it was supposed to be both of us that got a record deal. That was like the initial offer. And he was just like, I just don't see it, man. I just don't really see it. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, this is it. This is it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is it. Like, shit's about to happen, bro. Like, this is happening right now, you know? And he's like, I just don't know. I just don't. But that was the first time I saw the power of the mind be like, you know, exemplified. So it's like, I mean, get an example of that. So it's like, to me, I can't remember if it was senior year around the time my mom was like always giving me these books, and my grandma too. You know, my grandma would give me like these books and like read the Bible occasionally, you know what I mean? Which the Bible to me is a very awesome, they have very great stories that have the essence of a lot of my favorite books is too, and great just lessons, you know, in it. So I feel like it was always like moments in my life, but definitely when I was young going to church, and definitely when I was like graduating high school.
Wow.
You know, because out of desperation, honestly, especially at that time, like I wasn't really too much into like The Secret and all of that stuff, and until I felt like I hit a wall, and like I felt like I was just like needed something. I needed to like figure it out, you know? And as soon as I cracked the books open.
What was that wall that you hit, if you don't mind sharing?
It was just a wall of frustration, a wall of depression, frustration that led to the anxiety of like, oh, what if it never happens? Time is going by. That led to depression. You know, it's kind of like, I feel like depression is like an overflow of anxiety, right? And also when you're trying to live in two moments at once, or you're trying to go too much in the future, I feel like sometimes that gives anxiety too, because you're literally trying to be in two moments. Like,
what does that mean, being in two moments?
It means like you're living in the present moment, but you're thinking about the moment of your future, right? So it's like...
Is that how you manifest? Living in two places at once?
No, that's not. I think that's how I have anxiety. I think that the manifesting comes from setting like, to me, intentions and attention, but then coming back to the moment, like, and you let it flourish. To me, you know what I mean?
So is it like maybe a good way to say is jumping in and out between the higher self and ego? So you go into the ego, you feel anxious, then you come back, right? Okay, I love it. It's just a bounce.
Yeah, and the ego is something that you can't really abandon. It's like part of you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, a lot of people say ego death, and I just feel like...
You abandon the ego, it abandons you pretty bad.
Yeah, I just feel like, how can you even kill your ego, or even why would you want to? I think it's just about working with it.
You're working with the ego, you fully understand.
You just kind of don't let it like be in front of you. You kind of be like, look, man, I need you here.
Right here. We're together in this.
We're together in this, and we can figure it out. You don't have to be trying to steer the ship.
That literally. I tell him every morning when I wake up, I tell my ego, I'm like, hey, buddy, we're together in this. We got each other. We can talk, we can consult each other. I want to hear you. I want to hear your perspective. So yes, giving the ego some love.
You know.
Okay, being introduced to the world of energy. Now that's when the woo-woo stuff starts. That's my favorite part.
Okay.
How did you, at what age did you get introduced to the world of energy? And
that's when I started like meditating and like changing my vibration. So I would say like 17.
No, but how did you even find out about what vibration is, what energy is?
Well, my mom watched Oprah every day. So she, every day after school, she would watch Oprah. And I remember they would talk, you know, they would have certain people on there. They would have like, I remember the main thing, this was way before that though. This was way before, she was into it before I was born, you know what I'm saying? So that's something you actually have to ask her separately. But when she was really enforcing that on me, like doing energy work and stuff, that was probably when I was like 17-ish.
Wow. You
know, and taking time to breathe and meditate and write down intentions and stuff like that. Yeah. And what I mean by watching Oprah is like The Secret, you know, like the book, the movie, that was like a big part. I feel like that was like a big moment on Oprah, and like just in our household, you know.
So Oprah really raised awareness about the dimension of energy and, you know, how we can work with energy and raise our energy frequency. And then
Oprah had everybody on lock back then. She had my mom in a chokehold. She was every day, like, it was like Oprah. It's like no matter what.
Religiously.
That's how I like Dragon Ball Z. That was like my thing, like anime. And she just like I would watch that every day after school. She would be like, "Oh, we gotta watch Oprah."
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
So then you watched The Secret. Then I was listening to you on Jay Shetty's podcast, and you said you met the Feng Shui master Marie Diamond, and you credited her for your last album. You credited her in your upcoming book, Go Higher. How did you meet Marie?
Through the funny thing is I have these guardian angels that come in the forms of like, it could be parents, it could be like friends, you know, one of my friends telling me to go to the radio station to like rap for Ye at that time was like, I feel like those were like angels guiding and speaking through them and, you know, all sorts of things. So I really feel like I'm lucky enough to have that. You know, it's probably why I chose my mom to be my mom, I would say. But she always comes through with great advice and stuff like that when I needed most. And I was in a time where I needed it. You know, I needed like some help. And me and her's relationship even wasn't the best at that time. But she just was like trying to help me out. She know that I had been kind of burnt out from just the music industry in general. Like, the mentality of like, you gotta hustle, stay hot, stay consistent. And I kind of like was trying to do too much. And I think it just led me to like, you know, a burnout. And I was also like approaching 30 as well. So that's kind of one of those moments in life. It's very pivotal where you go through like your own awakening in a way, you know, around that time, like 29, 31, 30, like, and she just suggested that I meet with Marie, and she was like, she's someone who, you know, she did like her online classes, and she believed that it would help me tremendously, you know, and she thought it was a long shot reaching out to her. But we ended up linking it up. Her and my mom, Marie and my mom ended up emailing, and she said that I was on her son's vision board. So it was really cool.
Wow.
I'm really cool with her son now too.
You are. I was. Let's have Marie together. Marie, please come join us. Please come join us. This is the time. I'm so happy to be with Marie Diamond, best-selling author, a spiritual leader, and a Feng Shui master. Marie, I heard Big Sean talking about you on his podcast with Jay Shetty, and how meeting you really changed his path in his personal life and his career, and it was inspiring. And when you guys walked into the studio, the look you gave him was a look of a loving spiritual angel, like a maternal figure to its own like son, or its own like as if he's one with you. And I love that love. How did you guys bond initially?
Well, you know, his mother initiated the connection to help him out, to perhaps look at the feng shui of his life. So I came to your home, right? And we did the feng shui of his beautiful space. And I think at the end of the journey of that day, I actually said, I think it would be good for you to do some clearing of energy, right? And that's when we really connected. But it was from the beginning something very harmonious, familiar, right? Yeah. It was like, oh, I know you. Like, and I think we both had that experience, didn't we?
Absolutely. It felt like a long lost friend, you know? Like, it felt like, like it didn't feel weird, you know?
It like felt like two soul family members came together.
Yeah, like it could have been like real weird, you know? Because we're coming from two different worlds, different countries, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different, you know, every difference there is. So, you know, but
which is an affirmation that we are all souls, different souls, and souls have no color, no ethnicity, no gender.
Absolutely.
When two souls recognize each other from a different life, or because, you know, they were always like supportive souls. It's that moment of real oneness when gender, color, you know, none of those things become something, to divide us anymore. And I feel like that's the connection, the level of connection you two experience. But then Marie, when you started the whole like doing Feng Shui at his place, do you recall any particular object or energy entity that you felt like was blocking Sean's like highest to achieve his highest potential?
Well, I think there was a really funny moment when I came to his office. And so in his office, he had a lot of objects of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Darth Vader.
Yeah. And also he has a lot of...
Love Star Wars.
Yeah, he loves Star Wars. But I told him, I said, well, you're not in the Star Wars movies. This is not your work, right? Your work is your beautiful art as a musician and a rapper. And so we kind of recreated his office space to put all his albums, to put all his awards, like all the major moments he had experienced, but also amazing other artists. We kind of created that space to remind him all the time that this is his focus, that he should do. And so we kind of got them all out, remember?
Wow.
No, it was definitely things that made sense. And yeah, I think it was easy, It wasn't, I had also bought that house from Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like it was a lot of like energy that needed to be like, no offense to Slash or anything.
I need to know, please.
I mean, well, for example, in the house, it was a strip club in the house. It was like a nightclub that had like a stripper pole in it, right? That was like, but the space was amazing, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't really like it wasn't like why I bought the house or anything. It just was part of the house. The house was beautiful, right? It really was.
So you mean there was a lot of different energies?
There was a lot of different energies, yeah.
And then obviously when there's a lot of any energies, it can feel a little overwhelming. So now I understand that a lot of cleansing probably needed to be done. And is that how Feng Shui really works?
Yeah, Feng Shui works on many levels. But first of all, Feng Shui is really making sure that it's aligned with the goals and intentions of the person that lives in the house. And I think at that moment when I came in, that was not aligned.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think redirecting both with colors, with positioning of the furniture, making sure that everything around him was connected with his vibration. That was the key point. And of course, we had to release some of the energy that was there before because that was not who he is and who he was at that time.
Right.
So we need to really revibrate the energy. But also, it's like an energy system that you can focus on, like acupuncture. So putting certain objects in certain places, especially based on his birthday, was very crucial. And so it really shifted your energy, I think.
It did, and right? You could feel the difference. Even people, when they walked in my house without saying anything, they be like, man, it feels good in here. Like, like they immediately, I'm not just trying to like sell anything here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. It's like people would walk in there and like could feel the difference. And I felt the difference. And it was definitely like one of the most necessary things. I feel like everyone needs that, everyone needs to like feng shui their life in a sense of like, just to work in the best order for them to give them the best chance at being like their best self. You know what I mean?
So understanding that everything around us has energy and all those energies affect our energetic aura, and how Feng Shui is the science of understanding those energies. Correct. And what works for us. How does our environment, our home, affect our career and wealth?
Yeah. So I always say there are 4 aspects that we really want to work on to balance our life. The first one is our career and our wealth. Yeah. So we need to look at our house. Is our house representing our goals or intentions of the career and the wealth we want to have? Like, for example, if you look at the space where you work, right? So a lot of people are now hybrid and they're working from home, or they're mixing it with working in their office or outside. You always have to think, where do you work? Like if you, for example, work in your kitchen, right? Then a kitchen is good for a chef. But let's be honest, you and I, we're not working really in a kitchen. Yeah, we need to in studio, we're publicly. So this is not a good place for us to work. So most of the time, the location where you work will affect you. Like literally we say, location is everything. Yeah. So don't work in a kitchen. Yeah. Work in a space where you have an area where you can dedicate yourself towards your work that you're doing. So even if it's in the dining room area, make sure then there's no plates or things from the previous dinners or on your table. So make sure you create a space that is focused on what you do. Yeah. But then also look at what is around you, right? So are there books on success? Are there images like your certificates, perhaps awards that you have? It's like the space that you have where you're dedicating yourself to work. Is that reflecting what you want to manifest in your life? Yeah. So if you have, for example, a space where you work, but there's all images of your children around you, you can say, well, I love having my children around. I do too, but I would not have all these pictures around me in my, workspace.
Correct.
Because they're not my clients, literally, right? Or people, we see that now, have a lot of times that they are spending their work in their bedroom.
Correct.
Yeah. So I always say these are two different messages. So a bedroom is focused on your health, on your re-energizing, and on love and romance. But your business is something completely different. So when people work in their bedroom, I always say you're giving like a contradiction. You're actually saying, do I sleep? Do I make love? Or do I work and make money? Yeah. So you have to understand that it's good then to create like a separation. Try to not work in your bedroom. If that's the only choice you have, make sure you put like a screen, for example, between where you sleep and where you work. Yeah. So that you don't see energetically that you work there, or that when you sleep, you don't see that you have an office or a desk there. So try to separate that energy. Yeah.
So can our bedroom layout be keeping us single?
Totally. Yes, your bedroom can keep you single. Look at the images. And I was just talking to somebody here in your team that they had an image of a beautiful Barbie poster above the headboard. And I'm saying, look, you're actually giving yourself consent to be single all the time. So all the images around you will give you a subconscious expression. Yeah. So if your bedroom, if you work there all the time, if you have images of single people, you're actually saying subconsciously, it's okay to be single. So your bedroom can keep you single.
We cannot deny the element of energy and how the dimension of energy is a whole realm of science that it has not yet been fully tapped in, and therefore a lot of humans are suffering because they don't know, they don't have the right tools to raise their vibrational frequency. They didn't teach us that at school.
Well, that is, what I do want to bring up, even though like I kind of did it in a wrong way, like having Star Wars in the office, there are things like Star Wars and like Dragon Ball Z that have to do with energy. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think there are people who are open to it. I just think it has to be like presented and like understood that it's not just for these like fantasy things. Like, the special part about Dragon Ball Z is that like Goku would surpass his limits and hone in and sometimes gather energy from the earth to beat a villain that was already like twice as strong as him, but he was able to rise to the occasion. Same with Star Wars. Like they call it the Force, but it's like they draw it from nature, from like, from God and like all these different places and manifest it into a higher version of themselves. So it's like, it is something spiritual. And so just to go back to your earlier question, what first got me into energy was actually that.
The entertainment industry.
No, just Dragon Ball Z and Star Wars, not the whole entertainment industry.
I know, but like it was through the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So we can say that out of all the industries like out there, the entertainment industry has played a crucial role.
And I really think it's the creators.
Spirituality.
George Lucas, I feel like Akira Toriyama. I feel like there are a lot of people who probably are that way naturally. They probably work with energy themselves because even when Goku powers up, he has like a blue energy, and then he'll have a gold energy, and then he'll have a red energy, and then he'll have a purple one. So it's like, it's very similar to when we started working with all of those type of like energies while meditating, it was very familiar already, you know, because of that.
Yeah, because we're working my system a lot with energies in colors. Yeah, so both in the home, but also what we're wearing, but also in meditation we can tune into the frequency of colors. And so because you were connected so much with Dragon Ball Z, when I started working with colors, that made so much sense for you.
Yeah,
right?
It did.
Wow. So you felt like this is familiar, this is home. Because you're probably recognizing this, your higher self is recognizing it.
Yeah.
When we were somewhere where everything was in vibration, light and color, and we were just light beings.
Yeah. But to go back to like, you know, I think that her doing like all that feng shui, and it definitely was a game changer, to say the least.
Wow. Wow, I love hearing that. And so the new house, so you moved into a new house just a couple years ago. What are some of the things you learned from Marie when you feng shui the new house?
Well, first of all, it was an automatic thing. Like, I kept to have Marie feng shui the new house. And, you know, one thing that I learned about the house is that it's a really powerful house. It has great energy. And that is great for me at this time of my life, like currently. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah, and that it's a house that I can grow in career-wise as well.
Right.
Yeah, but
also as a family man, right?
Yeah, as a
this
family.
was a really good house for building a family.
Like if our audience, they want to apply like 3 basic feng shui rules to their house, like as they're watching this, what would be those 3 rules?
Well, the first thing I really understood is that whatever is around you is really affecting you, that your home is also subconsciously connecting with you. And so when I look at the images that were around me, when I was in the first bedroom, were definitely not related with my goals and my intentions. And so I literally drew my images and the posters myself, like posters of love, posters of friendship, and I surrounded myself with positive images. Yeah, and that's like the first thing I always say to people: look around you. Your home is a vision board, and so whatever around you is affecting you subconsciously. That's the first step. The second step I would always say is clutter. Yeah, so make sure that if you want a life that is in harmony, you cannot have clutter around you. So a cluttered environment is a cluttered mind. And so chaos around you will create chaos in your heart, in your mind, in your life, literally. You will start attracting, because we are attracting what we are, but we're also attracting what we live in. So that's the second step, I would definitely say. And the third step, I would definitely look at what are the colors, yeah? If you want to have a colored life that is engaging, you can't stay with the whites and the black colors, the gray tones. You know, you need to uplift your home a little bit. Yeah. So when I look at my first bedroom, it was all very gray and very, you know, energetically like really sad and depressing. And then I chose to live in a bedroom that was orange. I had like a lot of joy, a lot of fun, and that's what I created. So colors do matter in your environment.
So different colors have different energies.
Correct. Yeah.
And the energies of the objects around us affect our aura, our energetic aura.
Yeah, it really feng shui is an energy system that we can compare like with acupuncture, but this time it's acupuncture for your environment. Yeah, and so it's not the acupuncture of your body, like where you will put some needles and you will start having energy flow, but any object placed in the right direction or in the wrong direction will create a different outcome for you. Could be colors, can be the way you position yourself in the space that you're in will affect you, but definitely also the subconscious images that you're having 24 hours a day, like where you sleep, where you live, where you work, will nonstop affect you.
So how do the energies of the objects and items around us affect our energy and our emotional and mental health?
Well, so Feng Shui is also based on the theory of the 5 elements. So it is wood, water, fire, metal, and earth. These are 5 elements. Now, based on that, every element is represented in colors, in forms, in material, and even numbers. And so when, for example, you have a lot of wood around you, like a lot of plants, that it's possible that for you it works really good, but for other people they will be like, that's too much wood. It's also connect with your personal birthday. Some people like look for all crystals around them. Yeah, but wood is one element, crystals or earth element. Now you always look for something that is in balance. You want to have all the 5 elements around you. So that's why if you only do like white colors with a metal color, you will be probably too much mental and not feeling enough the energy, right? Or people have a lot of reds around them. There's a lot of fire elements. Yeah. So that can be good, but it can be also too much. It's all about the balance and the harmony between the 5 elements. So every item needs to be connected with the right balance.
And so Feng Shui has to be customized for every individual depending on the energy of that soul, correct?
Yes, that's the first step. I always say, look, based on your birthday and the birth gender, you come into the 3-dimensional field that is the earth, and you will actually have a certain balance or certain elements that work very well for you. For example, for me, what works very well is earth and metal. Yeah. So that's why I have an earth color on today, and I have a white pants on with a metal color, because that works the best for me. Yeah. But for somebody else, it could be like, oh, I don't like it at all. Yeah. So we look at what that is based on my birthday. And then we also look more advanced, like when did you move into the space? What is the front door of your home? Which direction do you sleep? Which direction are you facing when you're in your desk or your work environment? That all is connected with what we call the wind energy, the flow of chi. And so based on your birthday, there are some directions that, compass directions that work very well for you, and others don't. You already just found out today what are your good directions.
Correct.
Right? So you're number 7 in my energy system. And so based on that, there will be certain directions that create more flow for you. Like the west area, northwest, southwest, west is very strong for you. Now you live at the west coast, right, of America. So this is really can affect you, but also the directions in your space, you will need to activate them. So with the right items, with the right colors. So it's really going deeper into your system. Now you have a beautiful outfit on, but it's sparkling, right? And everything for you sparkling is really good for you. Yeah. So you always have to wear sparkling elements.
Wow.
Yeah.
My name in my mother tongue means shiny, sparkling.
Well, that makes total sense for you.
Oh, wow, that was incredible. And I'm naturally drawn to anything very sparkling.
Yeah.
Marie, do you use any other energy healing modalities when doing your work with Sean? Are there like some other than Feng Shui? Do you guys work on anything else? Any energy blockages, ancestral karmas?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
If that's okay that I'm asking.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, just like clearing energies, energy blocks, things, stuff of that nature. I've actually worked with a few people, not just Marie, who do that type of work as well. It's a very popular, it's a very like, I wouldn't say actually it's not popular, but it's a very necessary tool, because there's energies attached to you, there's blockages, there's things you inherit from your parents. It's like, and to me, I talk about that in my book. It's like, that's the importance of working on yourself so you don't pass that on, like for an example, one of the things I feel like I got passed on was the concept of scarcity, of like not having enough money, that was like one of the things I feel like I inherited from my parents in a sense. But I mean, I've cleared that since then. But my point being is that now I won't pass that on.
You broke a generational karma, generational trauma.
Yeah, it is really the ancestral clearing. And we did work a lot on that, but also is making sure that whatever intentions you have, that you really start focusing very much into it. And we work a lot on journaling, right? We work a lot on vision boards. So to make sure that as you have the goals, that then your home is really recreating that goal that you have, that intention that you have set up, but also then to see what are the blockages, that are there that you're holding on to. And so it's always like you're looking at the focus and the intention, but at the same time, you're looking also what is holding me back to get there, right? And that's something through meditations we worked a lot about to clear that, because it can come from your ancestors. It can also come from things you have created yourself,
and past lives,
and past lives, yeah.
Wow, so you healed a lot of generational traumas, and you basically. This is how you end the karmic pattern. Yeah. That is how you break a karmic pattern. Congratulations, first of all. That's very, very difficult to do. And you're a chosen one to get an opportunity to, experience living this life free of most of your generational traumas. I love that.
I'm sure there's still a couple saying no.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
We still have some work to do.
Yeah. We still have some work to do.
But it's an unfolding, right?
Absolutely. You're on the right path, on the, from this moment onwards, it only gets better. Who am I to say? But I don't know. That's how I feel for you.
I feel like it's just going to keep going.
Yes.
It's going to keep going.
In the right direction for you. Like that, I was watching your Architectural Digest video where like that wealth ship has to face south because south is the direction of your wealth.
That's right.
Yes, you are in that direction.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Marie, so people can find the consolidation of all of your active meditations, Feng Shui tips and everything on the Mindvalley app, the new Mindvalley Quest. And
she has her own app too, the Marie Diamond app.
I put my info in it to get my own information. I love it so much. So you condense all of this information, the rituals, the meditations, the science of Feng Shui, all in an upcoming Mindvalley Quest, which we are very excited about. Share with the audience what are the top 5 things they should know about the course.
Well, we have several courses in Mindvalley. That's so beautiful. But I love the fact the new course that is coming out is really about clearing your energy. And so one of the first things to know is that there's a certain color that can help you clear the energy. And the color that is vibrating the fastest on this planet is actually the color purple. Wow. And so by using purple colors around you, or even wearing purple, or working, for example, with lavender mist or visualizing the color purple or violet, you actually raise the energy and you're easier to declutter the vibration. And then there are certain areas in the house that you can focus on to release the energy. And for example, for your family, like I said, you could work with the East. When you feel like your relationship energy is not so strong and you want to release some of the blockages in your relationship, you can look at your personal relationship direction that we're explaining in the upcoming Mindvalley Quest, or you can even focus on the Southwest. The Southwest is generally a very good direction to create more romance. So based on that, we're looking at both inner clearing, and I call it inner Feng Shui. And we're also then looking what can you do in the outside of your home to change the frequency. So to have more light, to have more higher frequency, to really manifest your life easier. Because the lighter you are and the more your home is aligned with that, the more it's easier to manifest a new future.
It sounds like this is a wonderful tool for people who want to go higher in life when it comes to manifesting their goals and aligning with their highest self. And we know that your work has been providing tools for some of the biggest and most influential names, both in the entertainment and other industries around the world. Tell us about how you helped Steven Spielberg set intention to win his 4th Oscar at his home.
Well, it was really interesting when I was invited in his home. One of the first places I went to was his personal office. And as I was looking at the Feng Shui of his office, I couldn't find his Oscars, and I knew he had won several ones. And so they were not there until I was invited to go to his personal home. And that's where I found that he had 3 Oscars in his bedroom. And I was laughingly saying, well, you're not really making your Oscars in your bedroom. You're making them in your office. And so he was really struggling well, not struggling, but like he was really trying to get his fourth Oscar, one of his companies to get his fourth Oscar. And so that just didn't happen for a couple of years. And so I suggested to change that and to put his 3 Oscars, first of all, in his office, because that was a professional award. That was not an award to be the best dad or the best husband, but really to be the best as a director and a producer. So we changed it to his area there, and we put it in his success direction. So that's something they learn in the Feng Shui for Life quest, to know where is your success direction. As we placed it there, within the year, he had his 4th Oscar. So it was also because the placement of the items is important. And once you can do that, then it's like you open the flow. And the message to the universe was very clear: I want Oscars. And so that's then, of course, he himself would one day probably have gotten a 4th Oscar because he's so brilliant and excellent. But that change made it easier and more effortless for him.
Because it raised his vibrational frequency to align the frequency of winning an Oscar, of course. In the recent years, we saw a welcome development in the entertainment industry, which is where high-profile public figures like Big Sean, Kanye West, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry are speaking openly about their struggles with mental health and how healing and different energy healing modalities have helped them. Are there any big names or celebrities that are publicly endorsing using spirituality and energy, a science of energy and Feng Shui in their lives? Do you work with any big names?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, I work with Vishen Lakhiani, right, the founder of Mindvalley. But over the years, there are some people that I have been given permission to share their names. Like there were a few people from the Rolling Stones I worked with, people like Paula Abdul, Dan Aykroyd, Jason Bateman. So, of course, Big Sean, and there's some others. But some people don't feel yet, that it's helping them to share that publicly. What I totally respect, but it's wonderful to see that more and more celebrities are knowing that this will also impact their communities if they come forward to say what have they done for their mental health, what have they done for raising their vibration. And I think we see that also, in the Mindvalley community, that more and more beautiful celebrities are joining Mindvalley, or taking the class, and are sharing that also with their fans and their fan base. So I think it shows for me that more and more people need to hear also from the celebrities that they are doing that extra self-care.
Wow, and I'm so personally thankful to the Mindvalley community, which is a community where we all truly share all of our tools with one another, because for many, many years, the tools to raise your vibrational frequency and all the science of how to live in a more harmonious, joyous life through the understanding your energies, it's been a hush-hush thing that the rich and famous didn't want to share with others because of the whole mindset of scarcity. There's enough blessing for all of us in this world. And
there is, but it's also because a lot of them are looking for that little edge, that brings them forward where the others don't know that edge, And so, but once I learned this information, we have to see that information was kept secret because it was considered sacred. You had to be ready for that information. But I always say now the world is ready for it. So it's not time anymore to keep it secret.
When the secret first came out, how did the market receive it?
Well, I think it was the perfect time to start talking about that, to be honest. Of course, it's kind of started in California where it was not a secret so much anymore. But if then, when I see that now we're like 17, 18 years later, and especially like I was like 4 or 5 years later after The Secret came out, I was teaching a lot in Russian-speaking countries. I was speaking a lot in European countries. Was that it was like I remember talking to 600 women in Czechia, and I asked them, how many of you have seen The Secret? And there were so many hands going up, I had to ask, how many have not seen it? And there were like 4 raised a hand. And then I was speaking for 3,000 women in Kazakhstan. Wow. And it was like, everybody had read The Secret or watched the movie. So it feels to me that The Secret was like the perfect blend of authors and information that was created by Rhonda Byrne to bring that work forward. And it's still today, now it's very, very popular on TikTok, and all these young influencers speak about the law of attraction manifestation. And so it was like the perfect combination, perfect timing. And of course, so thanks to Oprah bringing that into her shows, it was just like, it opened the door. Like everybody was so ready for that information. And I was very fortunate to be the only European speaker in The Secret. Yeah, but of course, in Mindvalley, I'm very honored that I'm one of the major authors on Mindvalley and speakers. I love speaking and connecting with the Mindvalley community.
What's up, Vishen? What's up, boy? Shout out my dog Vishen, man.
Yeah.
He had that vision. Vishen had the vision.
Yeah, he did. So, but yeah, I'm very excited that I'm part of the community. I love the community. And indeed, we have, of course, Feng Shui for Life, and also the new quest around forgiveness and clearing of karma. So I'm super excited. Also many meditations that I can support the Mindvalley community with.
She's been busy. She's writing her own books, more and more books, and
my God,
all sorts of stuff.
She's living
TV
proof
shows.
of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that the universe gave me an opportunity to watch that documentary, which started my own spiritual path, and be
wonderful.
Here today.
Yeah.
We're so excited about your book. Your home is a vision board, guys. Grab a copy to understand how you can create the vision board that is aligned with what you want to manifest in your life at your own home. And Marie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
It's such an honor to be interviewing you.
Thank you. And I'm very honored that also Vishen Lakhiani wrote the foreword of this book.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Sean, well... But I'm so glad that we have people like you in the hip-hop industry that are going to make this shift happen.
Yeah, I really
Congratulations on your book.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Congratulations on this movement. And it was really nice having you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you.
Of course,
thanks for having me. Shout out everybody at Mindvalley. One time for Marie Diamond and Vishen, and everyone who just is tuning in and showing love to the music, to the book, to everything with me. Like, I really, really appreciate it. So see you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.